and then everyone will start doing their piece. So, our God, we give you thanks for the opportunity to gather together and be encouraged by your people, be encouraged by your word. God, I pray that as we relay what took place on the mission trip to Brazil, share our blessings that you bestowed on us during that trip, that God, us as a body would be encouraged, that us as a body would be strengthened, and we give you thanks. Pray this in Jesus' name, amen. So we kind of have things split up into the different ministry groups. So as we're just going to go in kind of chronological order, and as different ministry groups come up, they'll come up and present their part. So starting, we had to get down there. So that was pretty smooth. Yep. And so we had the opportunity to spend the first weekend. We purposely went down early and then stayed late in order to spend time with our missionaries that our church partners with down there. And so the first weekend we were able to spend with Ellie Driesinga. And did you want to read your piece and then I'll kind of fill in?
Sure.
Does that work?
Yep. So I'm just going to read because I don't like being in front of people. Our journey first began as we all took the road to Denver to catch our first flights. After figuring out our luggage, thanks Hunter for helping us out with those vouchers. And after a long security line, we made our first flight to Chicago. We had a short layover and a not so quick food run for the Campbells. And we started our long flight to Brazil. We landed 10 hours later and then went through customs in Porto Alegre. And then we were graded as we got to Porto Alegre and were graded by the Johnsons and by Ellie and Katie and our new teammate, Esther. And after an hour commute with crazy motorcycles going all around us, we made it to Ellie and Katie's house and the Stuckeys. So this picture here, some of our groups stayed at the Stuckeys, the couples stayed at the Stuckeys, and Suzanne and I made it down to Ellie and Katie's, which if you look at that picture, just down the lane right there is Ellie and Katie's house. And that's where Suzanne and I stayed and where we had all our meals. The Stuckeys are a family that work with Ellie and Katie at their church there in Saprianga. And they let the group stay there while they went up to the mountain at the resort where we were going to have the conference. Let's see.
The home that we stayed in at the Stuckeys, this is their garage. As we arrived, they were on their way up to Canela, and so they just left their whole house to us. They were very brave and very kind, and so they just left their whole house to us, and so we just hung out in their garage while we waited for them to finish packing their stuff up, and then they went out and we went in.
So that night, I think we have some pictures, but that night we went over to Ellie and Katie's house. This is their house, and there's some ladies from their church, Agiles and Nayuja, and they cooked us an amazing meal at their home, and so you can see them here. They made polenta, and then we had some tea while we waited for our meal. It's called Shimahau. I probably am butchering that, but anyway, so we had some tea while we waited. And then after our meal, I think we had a picture. These two ladies,
we're getting there.
Eventually. These two ladies, one is right there, but they shared their testimony with us with how God had brought them into salvation. It was just amazing to see how Ellie and Katie in their ministry to the women there and how they were able to work in these women's lives and just bring them salvation, bring them the message of salvation.
Yeah, it was a huge... Oh, hey, thanks, Ryan. You were the best, because there's going to be more than one of us most of the time, so thank you. it was a huge blessing to be there and see and hear from those who Ellie has been faithfully ministering to for quite a number of years. It was a huge blessing to see the vital part of the church ministry, of the church plant there that she is, and to hear from those. This is right next to her house. It's strange because you're in like very tight city area where everything is just there's no yards and stuff, and then you look from your right to your left, and there's a field with sheep and cows and ground owls and all that in it. So
it was very peaceful because they lived at the end of their street, and just right next to them there's sheep and cow and these barn owls that dug into the ground. Anyway, it was just a very great time to see where they lived.
Yeah. So that was our Friday, and then Saturday morning, first thing, Kurt and Drew and I had opportunity to go to the church for the men's prayer breakfast. Breakfast there is relatively simple. It's not quite as simple as in our house. We just usually have milk and cereal, right? But they just have like bread and some lunch meats and some cheese and coffee. So we got to go there. This is a man that we met. Crazy story, real quick. He used to be ranked number 1 in the what's that Duolingo app. So it's a really popular worldwide app that is kind of a game that you learn languages in, and a lot of us dabbled in it. I was ranked number like 50,000 or more, but this guy here, I'll say you. He was ranked number 1 at one point. At this point, he was ranked 4 in the world in the learning the English language, and he had learned he was not quite what I would call fluent, but very conversational with us, and he had learned it all through this game app, and so it was interesting. A lot of people spoke very broken English there. It was interesting to ask them how they had learned, because it was usually through like an app like that, or video games, or through watching American television, because our television shows, movies and stuff are more interesting to them, so they ways like that, kind of cool to watch. Then this is us walking to church Sunday morning. Graham and Jenna arrived in the middle, or right at the end of church service Sunday morning, and so we met them at the church, and then they went to the house and got cleaned up while we were visiting at the church. So we were able to walk to the church. They all live, Stuckey's, Ellie, Katie, and them all live less than a mile away from the church. It's just a big horseshoe away from the church, and it's a nice walk there. We got to the church, and the piano was playing, and we were all kind of taken like it was a recording. It was the Stuckey's oldest son, who's 9 years old, playing piano up there like this, and it was pretty great. We got to share in worship with them, listen to them speak, and not understand a whole lot, but it was good being with the church body there in Saparanga. This is one of the ladies that made, I forget which one she was, but Agiles. She was one of the ones that we met with Friday night, so she was there. And then Graham and Jenna got there, and so they got freshened up, and then we sat and had an enjoyable time catching up with them and seeing how things have been in their life. That brought us to Canella on Monday.
The teens are first.
Teens? Oh, yeah, sure. So then Monday, we, if you guys wanted to come share too, there's extra mics somewhere. Then we, Monday morning, packed up and we jammed up to Canella. It was about an hour-ish drive away from where we were at in Saparanga. And it was up in the mountains, kind of, very much so actually. And that's where the actual conference for the week was. We got up there Monday and began setting up. This is a picture of it's kind of hard to see, but picture of everyone that was there for the most part. Some arrived late after that was done, I think, but that is the BGFM missionary group that was there. And then we set up, helped set up. It was a really nice place. It was really perfect for the amount of people that we had, different groups that we had, splitting off. It worked out really well. The space did. So that brings us to the teen ministry, which Drew, Jody, and Liz Tramp and I had opportunity to work with. So you're up.
Who's up?
Y'all.
Oh, okay. We're not reviewed. Okay. I don't think oh, it is on. Okay.
This is.
We had approximately 4 days with the teens. We all spent the morning together singing, and then we'd split up into our different groups for children's ministry and teen ministry. So we broke up into our groups. Matt and Drew took turns teaching, and we had a game time, as well as set aside time for prayer together and just a few breakout questions. It was really encouraging just to see how quickly we were able to form some sort of connection with the students that week and still have a good, meaningful time. I feel like it can be a little tricky with teens being able to build a relationship to go a little deeper, but the bond of Christ made that a little easier for us this week. We didn't have all English speakers because there's quite a few Brazilian national missionaries, so the teens took turns translating for each other, and we also had a few translators come in for us as well, as we did lesson time and game explanation time and all that good stuff. I don't have anything more to say.
Yeah, so it was interesting looking at the group from BGFM there. I'd say probably 40 to 50% were Brazilian nationals now, which is pretty cool. I'm going to toss the mic over to you. You can talk about game time and stuff.
Yeah, so the days that we had were Tuesday through Friday. So we had 4 days to teach lessons. The curriculum that we went through is the same curriculum that Matt and Liz and the youth leaders are teaching the teens here, called Rooted. And so we already had our lessons planned out, but Matt taught the lessons on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I taught on Thursday. And then we switched off doing games with the teens, which we found out that the teens don't know how to play some of our games, which we think are pretty normal to play, such as kickball, was foreign to them, and some kids kind of just walked off because they didn't like the game. Apparently, yeah, they're not familiar with running around the bases and throwing people out.
Suddenly someone's on the phone and it just disappears. And then the next one, and then the next one.
So I guess we were done for the day on that one, but we did have a decent amount of space to play games, and this group of kids, it was definitely a blessing to get to know them. We had 18 down to 11. It was supposed to be 13, but the 11-year-old was the younger brother of the 18-year-old, and so they wanted him in there. They were actually two of the kids that didn't speak English, but they were a lot of fun. We had 12 kids total the first 2 days, and then 2 of them had to leave early on Wednesday afternoon, so we dropped down to 10 kids. But they were very sharp, smart kids. Most of them spoke both English and Portuguese, and there were some kids that Matt and I were shocked at that could carry on 2 conversations at the same time in both languages. It kind of made us feel pretty dumb. But they were just such a blessing to get to know them, to create that relationship. Even though it was only 4 days, we felt like we got to know the kids pretty well and create friendships that hopefully will last a long time.
Yeah, it's for sure. We were able to exchange contact information with them and have been in contact with them since, so it's been good. One of them had a birthday. One of them had a birthday while we were there. So here's video of his mom brought a cake, and so we were able to, as a youth team, and then most of our adults from our team were there as well to celebrate his birthday with him. Oh, there's no sound. We're good?
Their birthday song is much more lively than ours.
It's way more fun, and they keep singing. They have songs to add to songs.
They thought our happy birthday song was boring, actually. They complained it wasn't lively enough.
Are we good? And it just keeps going and going and going. So it was fun. There were some teens that took a while to break out of their shell and be until the last day of saying bye. And we were like, whoa. But then there were other ones that were on level 11 from the start, and it kept things fun. Our space is, you can see there, this is down the hall from where the main meeting was. So we would all join together in song as a full big group every morning, and then we would split off different ways, all the different kid ministries. And so this was the youth room. We were given full reign of it for that week, of however we want to set things up. So we just yanked chairs around and tables, and it was really quite a perfect space for us to fit in. There's a group.
I don't think we need to say anything more about it.
All right. And then run through some pictures, and then VBS will be up for Liz. There was also a pull-up challenge between James and Drew. I'd say pull-up challenge between two. That was right before kids began disappearing from kickball. They were still on the field then. There's the full group minus two of the teen girls that had to leave early.
Both of these. Yeah, I'll let you click.
Yeah. Okay,
Thanks.
Yep.
All right, so my ministry during the week of conference was VBS for these 9 very talkative elementary age children. The first night we kind of got spurred on by, hey, why don't you take the kids for the night? And they were very wound, I think, from sitting in the car or something, and it kind of scared us a little bit, and we had a big prayer session that night praying that VBS would go well, but we had a really good week. Graham and Jenna were my helpers, or we taught together, so they did the music time and the lesson time, and I was in charge of the science mini lesson and also games and crafts. And so we worked together to do VBS, but we had a very good group and we had a lot of fun doing it. There's a crazy video in here of Graham doing a lesson that we want to embarrass him by since he's not here.
Because we love him.
Because we love him. We talked about the armor of God and how they could be strong in the Lord even where they were, exactly where they were. Here it is. So as you can see, it was a blessing for all of us. And here we are, the last night of the conference. They have a family night, so we were able to share pictures and sing a couple of our songs for them. But it was a blessing for me too, because 6 years ago, when I worked in the nursery, I was able to minister to 3 kids who were now in the VBS group. So that was a fun blessing for me.
Okay.
Getting up in the stead of Curtis because Curtis was sick today.
In the nursery, we had 10 kids or less each day. We did a Bible story and a coloring sheet, and we did the days of creation with them. And every day we would have snack, and we would feed the ducks, go after and feed all the ducks. They love that. And we had 3 kids that couldn't speak English, and that was kind of a struggle, but it was fun. Oh yeah, this is Esther that came from California, and yeah, she was fun. And the sign, one of the missionaries came in and gave us a sheet of words like no and stop and calm down because they're kind of crazy.
It was all bathroom and stop, no, be careful stuff.
Yep. Yeah, we played a lot. We played games with them, did crafts right in that picture, and we played this game that they sit down and throw the ball around. Yeah. And then that's us feeding the ducks. Yeah.
So we looked high and low for a picture of Susanna, and we found one. She was very faithful to be taking pictures, but we couldn't find any of her face. The one we could find was her wrapped up in a curtain. So we had to include that because it was one of Susanna working hard in there, because she was.
Thursday afternoon, they have a ladies' tea for all the women in the missionary fellowship. So Jenna prepared a message for that. She had a translator with Joy Volpe. And here's Danielle's in that picture as well, giving an introduction. So it was really encouraging talk about Lamentations and a good opportunity just to connect with the other women there. And this is just a video of a short clip of singing Great is Thy Faithfulness in Portuguese. This is a picture just for Angie, I think. She knew these women and they wanted to say hello to her. And then the next one, you guys probably recognize Ruth Lipka. It was really encouraging to see her as well. You might know that her husband died this year. They had been really involved in Cornerstone over the years and been in and out of here. So it was kind of a farewell tour for her, just visiting a lot of different missionaries there. We were encouraged to see her. Grandma Jenna did music, as we talked about already. That was one of the big encouragements of the week, just being able to worship together with the other missionaries. They incorporated a lot of the other missionaries with them to help sing songs in Portuguese, so there's a mix of English and Portuguese songs together. They our final weekend with the Johnsons and Mom Boys. Were you talking? You were talking.
Drew was. So we all piled into 2 vehicles, 3 vehicles. Was it 3? Okay. 3 vehicles, and the Lord really provided in that way. I think Matt talked about it a little bit on Sunday, where one of the vehicles they had planned on moving us all with broke down, and I think it still is. And who donated his vehicle first? It was a friend who lived down south, and he donated a brand new vehicle to take us up north, and so we drove 5 to 6 hours. This was kind of a lookout place we stopped in on the way. And Drew was crammed back here. You can't see, but his knees are barely visible as they were like scrunched up. Noella is perfectly content. And you can talk about the church.
So that was Saturday. The conference ended on Friday. Checkout was Saturday morning. We crammed into 3 vehicles for the 5-hour drive, and we got in early afternoon, and then several hours later, we kind of went right to work. We went to their church and spent Saturday evening is actually when they do their youth group, and so we got to meet John and Daniil and David and Aaron Bomboy's youth group that they meet with, and that was a lot of fun. The teens that they have there, they have a good group of people, including their 2 oldest, Eliana and Carter. But we got to the church to set up, and during this youth group session, to begin with, I shared my testimony through David was translating. Matt taught the lesson, and then we had dinner together. Okay. Yeah, these are all just parts of their church. It used to be the building that they were blessed to have used to be a CrossFit gym, so it is in a warehouse. They have the big garage door, and that's the main entrance for them all. But the good thing is, though, that everything that they use is portable. So David was able to build a stage, and he built benches. He built the pergola that you saw, and then everything else they carry in and set up and then take out depending on what they're doing. They do Awana in here Saturday afternoons, youth group in the evening, so they're able to kind of just tailor their space to what they need at that time. Was this Saturday? When we first arrived, the teens were practicing their music because they led worship on Sunday morning, the next morning. Graham was able to work with one of the teens, Alex, here, and kind of give a mini guitar lesson. With Aaron Bomboy, there is the one standing. This is when I was sharing my testimony with the group. And that's David standing there as well, Aaron's husband. It was actually really neat to get to know David and Aaron Bomboy. We've heard of them through John and Daniil Johnson. Obviously, we have a very close relationship with John and Daniil and our church with them serving here in the past. David and Aaron have been such a huge blessing to John and Daniil and such a huge help to them in this church plant ministry. So it was really good to get to know them. They're a very neat couple. And definitely, they definitely have a servant's heart. We were truly blessed by them and everything that they did for us. Sometimes we kind of felt like little kids that were having to be taken care of because we don't speak the language and we couldn't do anything on our own without them. So we're really thankful for David and Aaron for everything that they did for us. Dinner was sausages and hot dogs cooked churrasco style on their portable churrasco grills, kind of a Brazilian style grill and barbecue. This is kind of in the back of their church. They built a little mini kitchenette. everyone eating dinner here. Matt taught a lesson to the teens, again from the Rooted curriculum? Oh, this one was not from the Rooted curriculum, but Matt taught the lesson here that evening. And then game time, David told us about this on our drive up to Paliosa from the conference. They have been teaching the kids baseball, which, like we mentioned earlier with kickball, it wasn't really a concept that they were used to or that they had heard of. So David's a big baseball fan, so they bought gloves and wiffle ball stuff, and they really enjoy playing baseball as their youth group activity. They actually wanted to play Brazil versus America, so it was all of us, there's 8 of us versus the Brazilian kids, and that was a lot of fun. Similar with the youth group in Canela at the conference, these Portuguese teens are very loud and lively and very entertaining. They also talk trash when they beat you. So I guess that's a global thing. Yeah. This is, the teens out on the field. The guy pitching in the middle, his name is Randy. He goes by Ezekiel. You might recognize his name from last November when John and Daniil were here. He is an immigrant from Venezuela. He and his mom immigrated first, and we were praying for his dad, who was still in Venezuela when they were here last November. Thankfully, though, his dad was able to make it to Brazil back in June, and so we got to meet them and their family, and that was also, to me, very encouraging and a big blessing, because we've been praying for them for a year, and we just got to meet them and get to know them. The kid dancing right behind him is Davi. Again, he's talking trash in Portuguese, so David translated. And then Sunday morning, they actually have their church services in the evenings, because in Brazil, Sundays are family days. So it is very, very hard to get Brazilians to leave their house or do anything on Sundays. So they found that it's easier for them to hold their church services on Saturday evenings. They have a better attendance and... Sunday evening. What did I say? You know what I mean. Sunday evenings. So Sunday morning we actually had free, but Graham and John planned before we got there for Graham to do a music or worship class. There was people from another church that John and Daniil knew of as well that came, and all of these people serve in some capacity in worship in either John and Daniil's church or another church, but Graham was able to go through with them in a workshop, music workshop, and that was actually a really good time as well. Wrong button. These are all the attendees from the workshop. Again, food was involved. There is an upstairs, so this is Aaron taking a picture, but this is actually a good picture of their whole facility at their church. Is this a video? Okay.
Sunday evening.
Video Sunday evening. How do you play?
Just hit down one.
So that young man, Randy, is their worship leader at John and Daniil's church that's in behind the pulpit. And John and Daniil's oldest daughter, Eliana, is the one standing on the right that is also on the worship team. Oh, and Carter's playing the cajon as well. They're John and Daniil's son, sitting right behind Randy. Kind of hard to see him.
Once a month, the youth gets to lead the worship, and so it's always a big deal for them to get together to practice and then to be able to lead. They did a great job.
And then Graham preached a sermon with John translating. He had taught that sermon before, but he said he did have to cut it in half, obviously because everything was being repeated. So with John preaching in Portuguese, he got through half of his sermon. But it was a very good sermon. And this is another view of their congregation during the service. Graham actually took this picture from the pulpit.
Because of the sunset out the back window, right? It was beautiful. I got to go upstairs to their one classroom and teach their children's class. And normally it's about 6 kids, but that night there was 3. And it is very tricky teaching with a translator, but Eliana did a great job because I tried to keep it simple, and I brought a book to just read through so she could look ahead of it, or ahead of time and translate. But of course, I deviated from the book the whole time, so she just kept right up with me, and I was so thankful for her. But it was very fun. We talked about how God's family is very big, and we all look different, and we even talk different, and they thought I talked so funny, but they were sweet little boys. And they're just like kids here. They have to be incentivized with a funny picture to get a real picture, and I don't even think we showed the real smiling picture, but they like to be funny.
Matt, you want to talk about this gentleman?
Yeah, so John was excited when we got down there. He has several law enforcement officers in his church. This is one of them, and his wife, and one of their, or no, both sons are in there. Never mind. If you look between dad's knees, there's second son. But it's a whole different world down there for law enforcement as far as the support that they get and the welcome that they get in church settings and such, because of the corruption that's involved in law enforcement there. They're not trusted as much, I guess. And so John was excited to introduce me to the ones that they had. So I got time visiting with one that's been a prison guard for 12-ish years, and now he guards like judges and stuff, and got to talk with him about how difficult it is to sit and watch the massive amounts of corruption in the court system there, and finding encouragement in God's word, despite the fact being surrounded by corruption like that, and remaining faithful in what he knows to be true. This guy here was with one of the police services. They have a couple different kinds of police, kind of like us, a little bit like us, but less separated. And so he was with one of the police services there. He is an equivalent of what we would call like a lieutenant or something of that sort. So he's in a larger supervisory spot, and was explaining the difficulties of not being Catholic in the police force, and the lack of support for mental health that they have if you're not Catholic, and lack of support for anything really, not being able to share your faith, or you lose your job, stuff like that. So it was good visiting with them.
This girl I got to visit with the help of Daniil, and like it's already been mentioned, it's very difficult having conversations when you don't know each other's languages. But Daniil shared with me after I got home, she asked for this picture, and she just said, "Thank you so much for taking the time to have even a short conversation." She said it meant a lot. Her and her husband are just going through a very hard time. Her name's Luana, I think, and all I said was, "We've been there, and the Lord gets you through." And Daniil just said it meant a lot, just the small little conversation that we had. So I'm grateful for those little opportunities to be able to be used, even when we didn't know the language.
So this is the family I was telling you about previously. Randy, or Ezekiel, on the left. His mom in the middle, Yasmiel. And then his dad, who just made it, was able to immigrate out of Venezuela in June. In Portuguese, you pronounce his name Cherry. But they are a really neat family, and getting to know them was definitely a blessing and encouragement.
Keep praying for his salvation, because he has yet to come to know the Lord.
Cherry is not saved. Randy and his mom Yasmiel are. So that is a big prayer request for Cherry. So this is at John and Daniil's house on Sunday evening. Just playing games and hanging out with their 3 kids, Eliana, Carter, and Noella. It was really nice to get to know them more through the youth group at the conference that week, and also Matt, Liz, Jody, and I, and Liz and Susanna stayed at their house, so we got to spend a lot of time with them for several days. Okay. All right, this is a video of us playing a game. I'm not sure. Yeah.
This is like at 11 o'clock at night. People don't believe in sleep in other countries.
I'm still a little confused on the game. I just know you yell at each other a lot.
He was very
And
good
I
at
never
it.
won, so I don't like that game. Yeah. Monday, do you want to talk? Monday was our first, I believe, full free day, and it was our last day there. Was our only full free day, and John and Daniil and David and Aaron wanted to take us to the beach. So this is a, what's that?
I don't know if David and Aaron really wanted to.
Yeah. They wanted to take us to the beach, but Florianopolis, John and Daniil actually live on the mainland. They don't live on the island where the main city center of Florianopolis is. So we had to cross a bridge and go onto the island through Florianopolis to get to the Atlantic Ocean. This was a lot of fun. Not just because of the ocean, but just because of the time that we got to spend together with John and Daniil and David and Aaron. The last afternoon and evening at John and Daniil's house, we went grocery shopping on our way back home, and actually made our first, the last night there, we made our first home-cooked meal. And we were able to make carne asada tacos with John and Daniil and David and Aaron, and make them a meal.
David, can you go back and point out David? David, if you notice him on the couch, that's how he felt after our weekend.
That's how we all felt, actually.
It was just a really sweet time. Like Drew already said, spending time with them. They were really gracious. It was really inconvenient for us to be there, and they gave us their beds, their vehicles, their time. They gave up their sleep. So it was just encouraging to be able to spend this day with them, building relationships and semi-relaxing. So.
That's Noella on the bottom with Carter and Eliana right behind her, Jonathan Neal's kids. Our last evening, it was rainy, but we wanted to get a group picture. We had to go outside to do it, so we went outside and took a picture all together in the rain.
Out of about 25 pictures that we took, that's the one normal one. Because we were all so sleep deprived because it was games every night for 2 weeks with the teens in one place or the next until middle of the night. And so it was tough getting a normal picture.
Outside John and Daniil's house. And on our trip home. I believe that's it for the slideshow.
So do you just want to start with how you were blessed and then pass the mic?
Sure. So we would like to share kind of how we were blessed. We went down to serve. We wanted to be a blessing to the missionaries, not just John and Daniil and David and Aaron, but all of BGFM was serving and doing youth group and VBS and nursery with their kids. But I think we all came away probably being the blessed ones. we were also very encouraged from spending time and getting to know the missionaries, all with BGFM, and the missionary kids as well. I'm still in contact, as well as Matt, with several of the kids from the youth group, and hopefully we can maintain those relationships with them. They're really neat people, but it was definitely encouraging just to get to know them and their hearts for their ministry, including their kids and their kids' hearts to serve. That was challenging to me, and just getting to get to know and be served by them, actually, which was, for me, not expected. So I was definitely very grateful for everything that they were doing for us and taking care of us. But I think the whole trip was a blessing and encouragement to us all, but especially just the relationships that we got to build with them.
My big takeaways from our time were just being able to get to know other missionary families and their children, and like Drew said, the encouragement that they were, the teens there, just that we met, really had a heart to serve and minister in their own church plants, and that was really encouraging for me. It can be hard to be a ministry kid, and so that was just encouraging to see their heart to serve. I was also really blessed to be able to put faces to names that we've been reading about and praying for, both at Ellie's church and at John and Danielle's church, to be able to see them and meet them and pray with them and worship with them, and that was very encouraging. I was also very encouraged with the team that we had, and just there was, a lot of not enough sleep, and all of us ended up getting sick in one way or another. There was some stressful connection times with flights, but through it all, everybody maintained good attitudes and just were encouraging to each other and gracious with each other through it all, so that was encouraging as well.
I would have to say that the biggest blessing to me is being able to fellowship. First of all, with our team here, we're all friends going there, but now we're even closer and stronger together because of it, both like Liz was saying, both in the silly times and in the tough, tired, tight flight times. It's just a sweet blessing to be able to serve together. But also in our friendships, or a blessing was to see Katie and Ellie and the Johnsons in their ministry and in their homes, and it was just a blessing to be able to see that and witness that and see how God has used all of them just mightily where they are, and just to be more aware of how to pray for them. We see them in their house and in their church, and we know where it is and where we can pray for them better.
Yeah, it's already been mentioned, but I was joking before the trip that if anyone remembers going on road trips with siblings, you remember it was a little straining on relationships, and I was imagining that that's how it would be. But by God's grace, He really, I felt, did not allow any division. There was no drama between the team, and we tried to get together most every night and pray, which was some really, really special times because some of the teammates had hard things they were going through, so we could share each other's burdens. After we were done laughing till we cried and got serious, then we did that. But beyond that, just seeing, like others have said, the bond that the body of Christ has, being in the mission as a whole, and seeing all these missionaries come together from all across Brazil. They probably see each other once, maybe once every year, or maybe once every other year, and just their fellowship and unity in the mission. And they're so diverse. Like the missionaries that you saw, there's just personalities just like in any church, and they were very unified, and it was very encouraging to see. And then in each of the churches that we're in, the exact same thing. And I don't know, sometimes I come to church and I think we have something special here. There's just a bond that we have, but it's not actually special. The thing that makes it special is Jesus, and that is happening all across the whole world. Like every Sunday right now, it's happening in other churches. And it just gave me a very bigger, broader view of the body of Christ and how we are all so different, but it's Jesus that brings us together and gives us a common unity and purpose and goal in life. So.
My blessing was working with all the little kids in the nursery and playing with them, even though a lot of times I couldn't understand what they were saying. It was a blessing to hang out with Eliana and her friends at the conference when I didn't know what they were saying most of the time. One of the biggest blessing was Esther. I thought she was an old lady at first, just coming to come, but she came to be a true friend. I'm so glad for this group, even though a lot of the times the guys would mess with me. So when I was at Eliana's, now we're close friends. Now I can see where she is and all that. And I hope I can go back, time to go to Brazil again to maybe go into the mission field for children's. So yeah.
Not gonna define it.
No, I was really blessed in a lot of different ways. A lot of the ways are the same things that have been said. One, our team, like was already said, we're already all friends, but being with each other that much, that close through stressful situations, specifically Houston, and trying to make our flight that TSA almost made us miss. By pulling literally every check-in bag tray, not even bag, just every tray that we put through for extra search. Just all the different things, and seeing the way our team chose to love well, and it was good. Patience, and it was an encouragement. Also, the beauty of the church. I love our church, and I love being here, and I loved being there with the church. It was a huge blessing just to sit and sing songs that I recognize a tune, I recognize the song, but it's being sung in a completely different language by completely different people praising the exact same God, and it was good. I also missed our church a lot. It's good to be back with you all, but. And then, lastly, it was an encouragement to see David and Aaron, and to see the huge blessing that they are to John and Daniil there. They have a specific skill sets, each of them, that just match with John and Daniil so well. And it's an encouragement with the invested interest we have as being family and stuff, just seeing John and Daniil being able to serve with the team like that. So. To end, thank you guys so much. It was a huge blessing to us. I hope this has been a blessing to you to hear how the church there is, how it's doing, to see how our missionaries are doing. If you want more specific prayer requests for them, come talk to us. Each of us probably have different ones because we each got to spend unique time with our missionaries. So. Please come ask us. I think we have just a minute or two here. If there's a question or two, I'll direct that to Susanna. Actually, when she says that she was putting up with a lot of hard times from the guys, she's not kidding at all. She's telling absolute truth. So Susanna, thank you for being very patient with Drew and Kurt and Graham and I. So. You guys have any questions for us? All right. Leave it at that. Thank you, guys. Let's close in prayer quick. Our God, as we recount the time spent in Brazil, the time spent with your church there in different settings, we're reminded of the beauty of your gospel and the unifying act it has, the purifying act it has, and the effect it has on humans that otherwise would be very polarizing, God. We give you thanks for your mercy and your grace in our lives. We pray for continued mercy and grace in the lives of those that are serving as missionaries in Brazil with BGFM. And we give you thanks for them and their love for you. We were able to hear a lot of their stories of extreme hardships, God. Some of them with extreme hardships in the support area, some looking at a very real possibility of death soon at a young age with young kids, and just the hope that is found in our understanding of what you have done on our behalf, God. We give you thanks. You are good to us and you're kind. We pray this all in Jesus' name. Amen.